Build yourself quietly. That's the secret most never discover, because while the world is busy talking, you're busy transforming. Not in the spotlight, not in the noise, but in the silence, where real change begins. The greatest growth is never loud. It's forged in the stillness of discipline, in the solitude of long nights, in the quiet sacrifice of your comfort. And that's why few ever build anything that lasts. They crave applause more than progress. You don't need applause, you need alignment. Alignment with your vision, with your future, with who you know you're capable of becoming. You don't need validation from strangers who haven't walked your path. What you need is consistency, unshakable, unbreakable consistency. Because every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you plant a seed of greatness. Every time you push through the resistance, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. And while others chase distractions, you chase mastery. Let them doubt you. Let them mock your silence, because silence is misunderstood by the average. They think it's weakness, but it's focus, it's power, it's strategy. And one day, your silence will erupt in results so loud they'll wonder how you did it. You see, the people making the most noise usually have the least to show. But those who are building quietly, they're creating empires brick by brick, not for attention, but for legacy. Legacy isn't built in crowds, it's built in repetition, quiet mornings, lonely evenings. It's built in the way you choose discipline over distraction, the way you reject shortcuts, the way you do the hard thing over and over again, without recognition. You don't need to prove anything, you need to become something. And becoming is not a performance, it's a process. It's messy, it's private, and that's why most never do it. They're addicted to being seen, not to becoming strong. But you're different. You're not here to impress, you're here to evolve. And evolution takes time, it takes silence. It takes a willingness to be unseen while you build the version of you that the world can't ignore. Forget announcements, forget validation. You don't owe the world updates, you owe yourself results. And when those results come, and they will, they'll speak volumes louder than any post or performance ever could. So let them underestimate you. Let them write you off. You don't need their permission, you need your own discipline. You don't need an audience, you need habits, systems, grit. Because the real ones, the ones who actually make it, they don't scream. They don't beg for attention. They build. They endure, they execute. And in the end, they don't need to tell their story. The results tell it for them. So build in silence, train in silence, heal in silence, succeed in silence. And then, when the time is right, emerge. Not with noise, but with undeniable presence. Not to say, look at me, but to say, I'm here, I've built, I've become. And in that moment, no words will be necessary, because your work will echo louder than anything you could have said. This is the path of the few, the disciplined, the relentless, the quiet architects of greatness. You are one of them. Keep building. Do not confuse visibility with value. The most valuable assets in life are often the most hidden, just like the roots of a tree. What you can't see is what supports everything above. Your habits, your thoughts, your mindset, those are your roots. Strengthen them in silence. You don't get stronger by being watched. You get stronger by pushing through when no one's watching. That rep you do alone, that decision you make when it's hard, that's where the transformation happens. That's where the difference is made. Anyone can perform when eyes are on them. But who are you in the dark? That's the question that builds empires. That's the space where you forge identity, character, and unstoppable momentum. Your power is multiplied by your patience. You must learn to delay the spotlight until your foundation is unshakable. Don't be in a rush to be seen, be in a rush to become solid. Because when the moment comes, you won't have to prepare. You'll be ready. And never forget, it's not about how quickly you rise, it's about how deeply you're rooted. Because storms will come, and if your roots aren't deep, you'll be swept away. But if you've built in silence, with discipline and integrity, you'll stand when others fall. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who lead themselves first, who build without needing praise, who create because it's who they are, not for who's watching. That's you. Keep building. quietly, boldly, completely. Let others seek attention. You seek mastery. Let them chase relevance. You chase excellence. Because relevance fades, but excellence compounds. And those who commit to excellence in silence eventually become unavoidable. The habits you're building today will shape your freedom tomorrow. Every early morning, every late night, every sacrifice site's not wasted. It's an investment, a deposit into your future. The world may not applaud your quiet discipline today, but it will one day envy your results. And when it gets lonely, remember, loneliness is often the companion of those on the path to greatness. Most are not willing to walk this road because it doesn't come with immediate rewards. But you know better. You're not here for fast rewards, you're here for permanent change. Ignore the noise. Ignore the critics. Ignore the temptation to explain yourself. You don't need to explain your journey to those who were never assigned your destiny. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Your only job is to keep building. One day they'll ask how you did it. They'll ask what your secret was. And you'll smile, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you'll know that you earned it the hard way, the quiet way, the only way that builds unshakable strength. This is not a season for display. This is a season for development. And the work you do in silence now will be the platform you stand on for the rest of your life. So be relentless, be faithful, be consistent, and above all, be quiet. Let the noise belong to the world, let the results belong to you. There is immense power in choosing to stay silent when the world expects noise. In a society addicted to validation, your refusal to perform becomes an act of rebellion. You are not here to impress, you are here to evolve. The louder the world shouts, the more valuable your silence becomes. Each day you rise without applause. You build something stronger than reputation, you build character. Every time you act without recognition, you earn self-respect. That invisible work, the hours no one sees, the efforts no one applauds, that's the crucible of transformation. You're sharpening your mind while others dull theirs with distraction. You're crafting resilience while others chase approval. True growth isn't glamorous. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't trend. It's early mornings, late nights, quiet reflections, and unseen sacrifices. The person you are becoming is shaped in those moments when no one is watching. And that's what makes it real. Others measure progress by attention. You measure it by consistency. Others chase moments of fame. You pursue a legacy of impact. You don't need a spotlight to shine. You bring your own fire. You are not addicted to noise. You are grounded in clarity. You've stopped looking for motivation and started living by principle. That's why your routine is powerful, because it doesn't depend on mood or validation. It moves forward regardless. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. Let them overlook. That's not your concern. You don't train to be seen. You train to be ready for what's coming, for what you're building, for who you are becoming. You're not chasing quick wins. You're designing a structure that will outlast trends, critics, and even time. Your foundation is deep because it was built in silence. While others chased noise, you built roots. It's not about appearing strong. It's about being unshakable. Not about sounding confident. It's about moving with conviction. Not about getting ahead fast. It's about building something that can't be erased. Your progress is internal before it becomes external. Your clarity is forged in solitude before it manifests in action. And one day, when everything aligns, when results begin to surface, the world will wonder how you did it. They'll ask for your secret. But you won't need to say a word, because by then your life will speak so clearly, so loudly, that even the doubters will listen. This is your edge, quiet mastery in a loud world, focus in a distracted era, discipline in a time of indulgence. That's how legends are mad, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, where the real work happens. So build yourself quietly, daily, relentlessly, faithfully, because when it's time to show up, you won't need to get ready. You'll already be built. There's a reason why the greatest achievements are often birthed in isolation, because greatness doesn't require an audience. It requires intention. It requires the kind of relentless, disciplined, self-directed energy that doesn't need praise to persist. Think of the mountain rising in silence, unmoved by storms, patient with time. That's you. You're not here for flashes of glory, you're here for the kind of power that endures. Quiet power, deep power. Every small decision you make today is stacking bricks in the architecture of your future. Every workout done alone, every early morning when you could have slept in, every moment you choose discipline over comfort, you are building, quietly, steadily. And those who laugh now will ask for advice later. Those who overlook you now will be in awe of what you've become. But don't wait for them. Don't build for them. Build because it's who you are. Because excellence is your standard. Because mediocrity is not an option. You've made a decision to live differently, to focus on things that matter, to master your thoughts, to guide your emotions, to design your life instead of reacting to it. That decision will cost you popularity, but it will give you power. Power over self, power over time, power over your destiny. You'll begin to notice how noise repels you, how shallow conversations drain you, how your own growth becomes your greatest entertainment. This is not isolation, it's alignment. You are aligning with your values, with your mission, with your future self. And the closer you get, the less you need to explain, the less you need to convince, the less you need to be understood. Because clarity makes you unbothered, discipline makes you confident, and progress makes you silent. So keep showing up, even when no one notices. Especially when no one notices. The silence is not empty. It's full of preparation. It's full of seeds that will grow into something breathtaking. People often think silence means inactivity. They couldn't be more wrong. Silence is where the world's most powerful revolutions begin. In a journal, in a garage, in a mind that refuses to accept mediocrity. So build quietly, daily, with intention, with grit, with focus, and let the world wonder where you've been when they finally see where you arrive. Because by then you'll be undeniable. You don't need announcements. You don't need to shout. What you're building will echo louder than any words. Let your discipline do the talking. Let your transformation be the answer. One day they'll look at you and see the results. They won't see the sacrifices. They won't know the internal battles. They won't recognize the countless hours of self-doubt you fought through, the mental storms you weathered, the lonely nights you chose growth over comfort. But you'll know, and that's enough. Because the victory wasn't in the recognition, it was in the resilience. The real win was becoming the person who refused to give up, who kept going, who built quietly and emerged unshakable. Let them underestimate you. Let them doubt, because what's forming in silence will roar when it arrives. This is your advantage. Consistency in obscurity, purpose without performance, power without permission. Stay hidden. Stay hungry. Build yourself quietly. There comes a time in every journey when the noise outside no longer matters. When the opinions fade, the critics vanish, and the world goes quiet, not because they've stopped talking, but because you've stopped listening. You've tuned into something deeper now, something that whispers instead of shouts, the voice inside the one that says, keep going. Building yourself quietly doesn't mean moving slowly. It means moving with intention. It means you're no longer addicted to applause. You've traded validation for transformation, noise for peace, appearances for substance. Each quiet step forward is a refusal to stay where you were. Every unnoticed victory is proof that growth is happening, even if no one sees it, especially if no one sees it. The world teaches you to perform, to post, to present. But the truth is, greatness is cultivated when no one is watching, when the lights are off and it's just you and the discipline. That's where you earn it. In the silence, in the unseen hours, the mind doesn't become sharp by accident. It's forged by repetition, by deliberate effort, by the refusal to compromise when comfort calls your name. And the best part? You're not doing this for anyone else. This is your path, your decision, your growth. You've tasted what it means to rise, and now you won't settle for anything less. Let the world chase attention. You're chasing mastery. Let them talk. Let them scroll. Let them perform. You are building. You are becoming. Quietly, powerfully, unstoppably. Because you've realized something most people never will. Silence is not weakness, it's your strategy. And the one who builds without needing to be seen is the one who lasts. Stay the course, fortify your mind, and trust the process. Let's continue. Every day you wake up and choose effort over ease, you widen the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. You break another link in the chain of mediocrity. You silence another whisper of self-doubt. You no longer need the loud motivation videos or the crowd cheering you on. You become your own fire, your own reason, your own spark. And with every decision to act, you plant a flag, a declaration that you will not waste this life, that your time here will count, that your name will carry weight not because you shouted it, but because you earned it. Some will question your silence. Some will interpret it as weakness. Let them. They're watching the surface while you're moving mountains underground. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It shows up. It endures. It delivers results so undeniable that the world eventually must notice, and even then, it's too late to catch up. So what do you do now? You keep sharpening the blade. You keep closing the gap. You keep ignoring the noise and honoring the process, no matter how slow, no matter how invisible, no matter how long it takes. Your time is not measured by likes or views. Your worth is not calculated by followers or fame. It's written in the quiet victories, the early mornings, the disciplined nights, the uncelebrated efforts. It's the hours spent learning while others watched. It's the pain endured without complaint. It's the growth earned without needing a stage. You build quietly because you are preparing loudly. Your silence will echo one day not as a whisper but as a roar, not because you demanded to be heard, but because you became impossible to ignore. Keep going. You're closer than you think. And this is where most people give up, not because they lack potential, but because they crave recognition more than results. But not you. You've decided that being seen is optional, but being great is mandatory. You no longer ask, "Is anyone watching?" You ask, "Did I improve today?" And that single shift, that internal metric, is the compass that guides you where others get lost. You don't need permission to get better. You don't need applause to become stronger. You don't need the world to approve what your soul already knows, that you are meant for more. Every time you keep going when quitting would be easier, you prove to yourself that your future is stronger than your past. And that's all that matters. So keep going. Sharpen in silence, rise in darkness, move with quiet fire, and let the world discover you only after you've already discovered yourself. Because the man who builds quietly becomes the storm. And when you finally arrive, there will be no announcement, no grand speech, just results, just impact, just a presence that speaks louder than words ever could. This is your edge, your advantage, your legacy in motion. Never forget, the loudest one in the room is rarely the strongest. The brightest star doesn't make a sound, and the deepest roots grow where no one sees them. That's where you are. Underground, preparing, rooted, rising, and soon the world will see not just who you are, but what you've become. Unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable. Keep building, quietly, until the results speak so loud, the world is forced to listen. You've walked the quiet path this far, but now comes the part where most stop, where silence gets mistaken for weakness and stillness is confused with stagnation. But don't fall for the illusion. Still waters run deep, and your quiet consistency is building something others can't yet see, a foundation no storm can shake. While others dance for attention, you are becoming the kind of person no one can ignore when the moment is right. You are not hiding, you are forging. And the difference? One disappears, the other becomes indestructible. You are writing your story page by page without broadcasting the chapters, because you understand every masterpiece is created in solitude before it is revealed in public. And this moment right now is your brushstroke. Let the noise tempt others. You stay focused. Let them chase vanity. You pursue virtue. Let them rush. You remain steady. That's your superpower. Because what takes time lasts. What takes effort matters. And what is built in silence echoes forever. So build quietly. When the sun sets and the world goes dark, the ones who kept going will rise. You'll be among them. You don't need validation. You need vision. You don't need crowds. You need character. You don't need applause. You need alignment with the version of you that refuses to settle, refuses to break, refuses to shrink. Because here's the truth. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to rise above. And to do that, you must keep going even when no one sees, no one praises, no one understands. Especially then. Because when no one's watching and you still choose growth, that's when the real transformation happens. That's when you become the kind of person who can't be stopped because you're no longer fueled by external approval. You've tapped into something deeper, stronger, eternal. So keep showing up, keep refining, keep trusting the process. One more day, one more rep, one more step. Not for the world, but for you. Because you're not building for the applause, you're building for the legacy. And legacies are never built in the spotlight. They're built in the shadows by people like you. Stay there, stay silent, stay focused. The world will hear from you soon enough. They won't see the early mornings or the late nights. They won't see the sacrifices, the inner battles, or the doubts you silence every single day. But one day they'll ask how you did it. And your answer won't be loud. It won't be flashy. It'll be simple. I kept going when it was silent. Because growth isn't glamorous. It's raw. It's uncomfortable. It's built in those moments when quitting whispers in your ear, but you refuse to listen. You've turned discipline into a habit, integrity into a lifestyle, resilience into your default. And with every silent victory, every invisible win, every unseen effort, you are compounding. Compounding into someone they won't recognize. Not because you've changed, but because you finally became everything you were meant to be. So don't lower your voice to be heard. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't slow down just because no one is cheering. You're not chasing popularity, you're chasing purpose. And purpose walks alone before it leads. When the time comes, the results will speak louder than any post, louder than any praise, louder than any noise you could have made along the way. But until then, keep your head down and your vision high, because your mission is sacred, and sacred things are protected in silence. So build quietly, unshakably, relentlessly. Let your work be the roar that follows your silence. Let your success interrupt their assumptions. Let your life become the proof that power is born in the quiet. You don't need to convince anyone. You only need to become undeniable. Keep building. Keep rising. They'll see you soon. And when they finally ask, "How did you do it?" you'll pause not because you don't know, but because the truth is too sacred to waste on ears that only listen to noise. You'll say, "I did what they wouldn't. I waited. I worked. I grew." You didn't rush the process. You respected it. You didn't beg for doors to open. You built your own hallway. You didn't need eyes on you to validate your journey. Your conviction was enough. Most people want the reward before the refinement. They want the spotlight without earning the light. But you learned to be patient, to be grounded, to be forged in silence. Because the truth is, greatness doesn't show up in noise, it's born in discipline. The world will always try to sell you shortcuts. But what you're building can't be bought. It must be earned, endured, embodied. And now, you're unstoppable. Not because you shouted louder, but because you stood longer. Every setback became a step forward. Every delay became preparation. Every no became fuel. They laughed when you were quiet. They'll listen when you speak. Because silence is not weakness, it's focus. The real ones don't announce what they're building, they just build. And when the time is right, the world sees the result and calls it destiny. But you'll know the truth. It was dedication. So stay quiet, stay disciplined, stay dangerous. because the future belongs to those who don't just talk about it, they train for it in the dark. You're one of them. Quiet doesn't mean invisible. It means inevitable. Your journey has never been about proving them wrong. It's always been about proving to yourself what you're truly made of. That even when no one noticed, you didn't quit. When there was no praise, no recognition, no reward, you still showed up. Because the goal was never to be seen, it was to become. To become disciplined enough to win your mornings. Focused enough to ignore distractions. Grounded enough to keep your standard 7 when everyone else lowered theirs. You are not chasing noise, you're becoming signal. And signal always rises above static. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them talk. You keep building. Because the strongest roots grow underground. And when your time comes, no storm will shake you. No critic will stop you. No setback will undo you. You'll stand tall not because you sought attention, but because you earned your foundation. So breathe, trust, grind. You are not late, you are not lost, you are not broken. You are being prepared. And what's coming is already yours because you never gave up when no one was watching. This is the edge, the moment most give in. But not you. You rise quietly. You conquer quietly. You become quietly until one day the world hears what only your soul always knew. You were destined for this. True greatness isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention or demand applause. It whispers through action, through sacrifice, through invisible victories won in the solitude of discipline. You don't have to prove anything to the world. You only have to prove to yourself that you won't quit, that you'll keep climbing, even when the mountain disappears into fog. The ones who rise furthest are those who rise in silence, while others post, shout, and chase validation. You build, you prepare, you sharpen your edge in peace, not because the world asked for it, but because you demanded it of yourself. Let the world doubt, let them look away. Their approval was never the fuel that kept your fire burning. It was always purpose, vision, the unrelenting pull of who you are becoming. Most people start with fireworks and fade into sparks. You start with sparks and build an inferno. Every early morning you don't hit snooze builds it. Every time you say no to distraction builds it. Every time you move forward without recognition builds it. Brick by brick, day by day, in silence. And one day, that quiet construction will echo so loudly in the world, it will seem like an explosion overnight. But it wasn't overnight. It was every single morning no one saw. It was every single choice no one understood. It was every single sacrifice no one clapped for. You built it, not for applause, but for freedom. You didn't want followers. You wanted fulfillment. You didn't crave likes. You craved legacy. And now, as your inner foundation becomes unshakable, you realize nothing external can ever threaten it. Because you didn't build yourself to be seen. You built yourself to stand. And stand you will. Not above others, but above your past self. Not in arrogance, but in earned certainty. So don't just rise. Evolve. Don't just grow. Transform. Don't just exist. Build. Build yourself until you don't need to be introduced. Your energy will speak. Your actions will echo. Your results will roar. And the world? The world will watch in awe, not because you forced it to, but because you built yourself so powerfully, they couldn't ignore you if they tried. And when they ask how you did it, you won't need to answer with words. Your consistency will be the explanation. Your presence will be the proof. The world chases the spotlight, but you became the light. You illuminated your own path. You walked through the dark so long, now you shine from within. That kind of glow can't be faked. It can't be borrowed. It can't be rushed. It's earned in the shadows, in the stillness, in the fire of your private war with weakness. Most people want to be known, but the great ones, they want to be prepared. They want to be ready when the moment calls, not scrambling, not pretending, but standing fully formed. So while the world scrolls and judges and shouts you refine, you audit your habits. You build your backbone. You find joy in the repetition, in the mastery, in the work no one else wants to do. This is how the strongest are made, not by accident, not by luck, but by relentless design. You are sculpting a mind that cannot be broken, a heart that won't be swayed by trends, a character that doesn't need applause to keep going. You are the architect of something permanent in a world chasing temporary. That's why you're different. That's why your rise will not just be visible, it will be undeniable. Because you didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. You didn't ask for permission. You just started building, and now that you've become solid, grounded, certain, nothing can stop what's coming next. Not because you're louder than them, but because you're stronger than their doubts. You've done the work. In silence, in solitude, with no cheering section. And soon, the silence will speak for you, loudly. Let them keep talking. Let them measure success by noise. You've already moved beyond that game. You don't want attention, you want ascension. You're not chasing trends, you're chasing timeless. Because you finally understood. The real rewards don't come from being noticed. They come from becoming undeniable. Undeniable in your character. Undeniable in your work. Undeniable in your mission. And that can only be built slowly, methodically, intentionally away from the crowd. So, while they burn out trying to impress, you're burning brighter by staying focused. Your pace, steady. Your vision, sharp. Your energy, protected. You no longer explain yourself to those who don't get it. You no longer seek validation from those who never built anything themselves. You've turned your back on noise and leaned into mastery. You're not in a hurry, because you know what you're building can't be rushed. It must be forged. Every morning, every setback, every win. You don't run from discomfort, you use it. You don't hide your scars, you wear them as armor. You're not trying to look successful, you're working to be unshakable. That's the mindset that separates the few from the many. And you've chosen to be among the few. So let the world wonder what you're up to. Let them speculate. Because soon enough, they won't have to wonder. They'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll know without a word spoken that something powerful has been built. And that something is you. Built quietly. Built deliberately. Built to last. You didn't just build routines. You built a rhythm, a sacred cadence of growth. One step each day. One choice each moment. You rejected the noise and listened to your own truth. You didn't ask for shortcuts. You carved your own path, even when it was steep, even when it was silent, even when no one else was walking it. You found the courage to keep going when motivation faded. You built momentum on the days when nothing seemed to move. You honored your word, even when no one else heard it. That's real power. That's real freedom. It isn't born from applause, it's born from integrity. And now that you've walked this road long enough, you see what few ever do. That the journey itself reshaped you. The vision pulled you forward, but the steps built your spirit. And what stands before the world now isn't just a person with success. It's a soul that can't be shaken. A will that won't be broken. A life that speaks seven in silence. This is what happens when you build yourself quietly. You become the kind of person who doesn't have to announce their presence. You become the kind of force that speaks before you even say a word. And that is the power of the quiet builder.